Welcome to the Guide to Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. I am Joe. He is Sean, and we are joined by Mr. John of John Burns Reviews. I was going to say of Burns Reviews. How's it going?
That's good, man. How you guys doing today?
Hanging in there.
Hanging in there. I hear you.
Groundhog Day all the time. That's my response all the time.
Yeah.
Sean,
pretty much.
How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. It's just nice and warm here in the northern states as opposed to the southern states that are getting blocks of ice delivered to them daily from the sky. It just seems like the weather is a bit backwards right now. So, if you had trouble making sense of things before, here's 2021.
And I did just want to warn everyone before we move on that there are some audio things going on that are being a little quirky tonight. So if there's a delay or anything like that, we apologize, but deal with it. Okay. No, I'm kidding. Please subscribe and rate us and love us. We'll go from there. So before we get into everything, I do want to talk a little bit about the upcoming Guide to Movies Virtual Film Festival. It's the second time doing this. And I have a pretty cool announcement, I think, that I shared on Instagram the other day. And basically, the event's going to run from the 25th of March through the 28th. That's a Thursday through Sunday. Of course, we'll have all of your favorite creators. We'll have some watch-alongs. We'll be showing some films, some short films. We'll have some talks with filmmakers, as well as some live podcast recordings, including this one right here. But the very fun thing that I'm able to announce is, of course, Willy's Wonderland came out this past weekend. And the creator/writer of Willy's Wonderland, Geo Parsons, will be joining us for an interview. So very excited about that. He will be there at the event. And we'll follow that up with a watch-along hosted by the guys at Talking TV. So, fun stuff. John, we were just saying Willy's Wonderland was kind of that, just fun movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I just did 2 videos for it. I did a review and I did a ending video because I had the press release from it. Had lots of quotes, lots of behind the scenes of it. Nicolas Cage basically just liked this movie, and that's why it got off the ground. He's like, I'll fund the movie. I really want to fight an ostrich. He has this thing about iguanas and alligators. So they changed some of the mascots to fit what he wanted, and it's just that shit crazy in Nicolas Cage. So I loved it.
That all tracks. Sean, I was telling everyone. I mean, I posted last night that your text messages were absolutely hilarious about this movie. So let's start off with just sharing some of them. The first one being the choice of Nick Cage to continue putting on clean Willy's Wonderland shirts is so properly brilliant. That really got you, didn't it?
It was my favorite part of the movie. It was just truly a great decision.
We just tried buying Willy's Wonderland shirts online, and they're all sold out.
Wow.
And my camera's doing something funky now, too. So, Sean, I don't know what you did there. But the other text message that really just got me going was Nick Cage playing pinball is my Friday mood. But then also, he just curb stomped the fucking gorilla.
Right? Did anybody else get flashbacks of American History X? I'm like, he just curbed using a urinal.
It was wonderful.
He curb stomped an animatronic gorilla on a urinal. Oh God, it was beautiful.
I enjoyed it. This is actually, so moving into top picks of the week, this is one of my top picks because I just had a lot of fun with it. I always say this when I'm writing my reviews to the point where I think that I am a little bit of a broken record, but I very much appreciate a movie that knows what it is and doesn't try to be more, but just leans into it and rides it all the way through. And I do think that Willy's Wonderland is one of those movies. When I was watching it last week, I was laughing my ass off in my room. I was laying in bed on my iPad watching it because I was exhausted, but it was so much fun. So I'm really looking forward to chatting with Gio when we get to the film festival. The other thing I really liked about it was, I'm going to forget her name, but the fairy, she was clearly a machete head or something.
Oh, the Sarah Siren.
Yeah. And then her arms were human arms, and she was like, It killed me. It absolutely killed me.
I could definitely see her being a fan favorite because she's definitely the most unique. She does that little bullshit where she goes up sideways up into the ceiling. I'm like, damn, she's a batshit crazy.
Yeah. And listen,
Yeah.
I can tell we're going to be cursing a little bit on this pod tonight because I already have a lot of times, but I'm going to curse here. When the little chubby kid walks up and she goes, "Want a fat boy?" I lost it. I absolutely lost
shit.
it. Oh my god. All right. Anyway, that's the one I'm going to end on. I also saw Minari. Minari is a beautiful movie. It is very different than this one really ends. Minari is beautifully acted. It is a very American movie, so I am just even that much more pissed off at the Golden Globes. But Sean, bless us with what you have watched.
You faded out for a second. Me?
You.
Oh, cool. So yeah, I watched probably what is right now one of my favorite movies of 2021. It's a Judas and the Black Messiah. There are no animatronic characters in that unless you count Martin Sheen with the paper mache head of J. Edgar Hoover. But with the exception of the terrible makeup, I really like how this was one of the big Hollywood movies that could hold a message. And it's a message that upsets people. It frustrates people, but it's told in what people have said is basically the style of The Departed. And so it's not exactly fun. You can't call this movie fun, but you can call this engaging and suspenseful. And truly, there's a moment, the "I am a revolutionary" speech. I'm jealous of whoever could make a scene that good, where pretty much all four players are there. Jesse Plemons, Dominique Fishback, Lakeith Stanfield, and Daniel Kaluuya are just like, all of them are converging together. They're at different moments. Daniel Kaluuya is always good, always deserves an Oscar, but like this was one of his high points. It's just but all of the performances are great. Dominique Fishback was great. Lakeith Stanfield was great, playing a role that is really, really tough to play. And even Jesse Plemons puts humanity to who becomes a straight up villain. I'm actually like shaking talking about this movie because I really did love it that much. I understand there was the mustache twirling one-dimensional, FBI, and I also think that maybe they were that bad. So it's kind of tough to say that was unrealistic. But that was, I guess, my one tiny issue. People have said that that like maybe some of the characters lose their way in a few moments. I can sort of see that. I don't. I think that this is just a tight story that absolutely is just wonderful.
Look, at the end of the day, it's a human story. It's based on reality. It's based on stuff that happened. So, if the characters are conflicted, I think there's nothing more to say there than it's depicting humans. It's depicting what really happens. And it is really tough. I know, John, you watched that as well. Did you not?
Yeah.
Yeah, and your thoughts on it?
I think the performances are really people are going to take away from it. Like you said, Daniel Kaluuya and just all of them are pretty solid. I do agree. The penguin looking Martin Sheen is pretty rough to look at, right? He looks like Arkham something, right? Doesn't he look like it's awful?
That's a good call.
The only nitpick I have, because it's a beautiful looking movie, it's very well shot. It reminds me of like a classic Warner Brothers movie, if that makes sense.
Yes.
The only thing I wish could have been better was like it was missing a little bit of that. I don't know, like. Maybe in the screenwriting. I wanted a little bit more in the story, I guess. I know it's based on fact and you kind of have to work within that confine, but I wanted a little bit more of a, I guess, story device or something to kind of make it more of a classic, I guess, if that makes any sense.
It definitely makes sense.
You know what I mean? Like if you watch it like back to back, like you said, like The Departed, like that, something about that movie is just, it makes it more, I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. I really enjoyed the performances, but as far as like the writing, I feel like it could have been polished a little bit better.
Yeah, I can understand that. I definitely think that it is divisive in that sense. And for those that are listening live right now, we're talking about Judas and the Black Messiah. I do think that there are some people that are very that really enjoyed it, and then other people that take issue with the messaging, and then other people that actually just don't think it was a good movie. I think part of it is what you're saying, that the script could have been a little tighter.
I mean, it made me angry because I was like, man, all these characters, like, they don't have a way out. Like I was telling you before the show, I'm like, when I watch a movie, I'm like, well, I know what I would do. I had no idea what I would do if I was Andy's characters. I'm like, this sucks. Like, they're all just kind of screwed. So it's a very frustrating movie to watch. It's obviously frustrating because not much has really changed in 50 years in so many ways. But it's really good. It's heartbreaking, but it's really good.
Well, and then look at the at the end what we learn about the main Lakeith Stanfield's character.
Right.
I mean, you talk about No Way Out. That's how many years later, you know, that interview happened. I think it was 89 or 90.
Right.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But that's not the only thing you've watched. You have another film to share with us. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I watched Saint Maud, which I think just came out. It's actually a 2019 movie, but it just came to VOD this past week. I think it's getting a wider release sooner. But it's really good. It's kind of a religious movie. It's about this nurse who takes care of an older woman who's dying, and she's basically just trying to convert her to, I guess, you know, Catholicism, what have you. And a lot of supernatural stuff goes down. It's really freaky. The visual effects in there is kind of insane. I really enjoyed it. It has a real drag me to hell type of element to it. I don't want to get to too many spoilers, but yeah. So I really enjoyed that one. And then I saw Nomadland. Thank you. Which comes out this Friday on Hulu in theaters, and also really good. Frances McDormand is fantastic.
That's awesome. There are definitely two movies I want to see. I do believe that Saint Maud is available on Epix. If you subscribe to Epix, you can get it. I was trying to see if they had like one of those like free 7-day deals so I could watch it and then not anymore. But we'll see. Well, look, I mean, we're getting to the point where we're finally starting to see some of the delayed movies come out. I think studios have really started figuring out exactly how they need to, you know, structure their releases in the new reality. Whether that's things like SpongeBob going to the Paramount Plus streamer, or, you know, the dump of movies we just got on Friday. There were a lot of movies released on Friday. And we're going to start seeing that more and more. And shameless plug, you can find all of those release dates on GuyAtTheMovies.com. What else can you find on GuyAtTheMovies.com? I'm all about transitions, John. Get ready.
I'm ready.
What else can you find on GuyAtTheMovies.com? But you can find Awards Watch with Sean. This past week, Sean talked about long shots. Sean, give us a little bit of an insight into what was in this week's post and what we can expect in the future.
So the Oscar nominations are going to be coming out in about a month. And so right now, we got to start being on the lookout for some big time surprises there. But what I'm trying to do here is I want to make sure that those surprises are a little bit more cushioned. We just talked about for Best Picture, you know, there's the typical locks that are going to be there. I'm not going to get into those now, but Judas and the Black Messiah, News in the World, and Sound of Metal are all possible picture and directors. News of the World is probably definitely in there for picture. Director, it's right on the outside for Paul Greengrass. Everybody loves the Paul Greengrass. Everybody wants Paul Greengrass around. They may put him in there for Best Director. Sound of Metal and Judas and the Black Messiah are just on the outside looking in for Best Picture. Sound of Metal could be coasting on its performances, while Judas and the Black Messiah becomes a huge hit. In terms of the other ones, I just want to quickly name other people that you may see that are right now not that, like, you know, welcome for it. Steve Yeun for Minari could be a Best Actor Oscar. Most likely will not be, but he's the main long shot. For Best Actress, Sophia Loren, Amy Adams, and Zendaya are all possibilities coming in. So those can be other ones that you could possibly see for Best Actress. And these are, once again, long shots. The big one here is, Mark Rylance, Bill Murray for Best Supporting Actor, and also Jared Leto. And so Jared Leto, while he got nominated for everything, he's still a long shot. There's a lot of people in the Academy that are like, what are the other groups doing? This is a horrible idea. So he most likely will not be nominated because that was just a very weird thing that happened. And, you know, we're just going to forgive SAG and Golden Globes. Well, not Golden Globes because they always do that, but move on. But with that, Mark Rylance or Bill Murray are the other ones. Bill Murray, super famous, star-studded, great in a Sofia Coppola movie. And then you got Mark Rylance, who is a past winner, but also incredible in Trial of the Chicago 7, who they may want to bring two people in, one of them being Sacha Baron Cohen. Now, with the final one there, we've got Burstyn, Bakalova, and Zengel. Helena Zengel for News of the World, Maria Bakalova for the Borat subsequent movie film, And then finally, there will be Ellen Burstyn for Pieces of a Woman. One of those three is getting a nomination. Not sure which one. The other four slots are pretty much set, so it's going to be one of those. And they all have reasons to not be in and reasons to be in. Not by quality, just by, political reasons. I'm over
here on
on
mute yelling, Burstyn, Burstyn.
You have been quite the fan of Burstyn, and I also am I really hope Burstyn can get in. And it's really like Zengel is interesting because she's young and unknown. Burstyn is the exact opposite, very old and quite known. And then in the middle is Bakalova for a Borat movie. Now, the Academy can be stuffy. So will they put someone in from the Borat movie? It seems, even though she's on there, she's close to the 5. It seems sort of unlikely. Finally, the last thing there is when I talk about screenplays, pretty much those are set. There's one opening in both adapted and original, but still could be somebody. First Cow and I'm Thinking of Ending Things represent two very opposites for adapted screenplay. First Cow is fascinating, and it's just get that Kelly Reichardt nomination, which she's never gotten. Very good movie. Screenplay does tell something very interesting, and I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which is Charlie Kaufman, which goes batshit crazy, and that's like the fun one and the cool one to do. For best original screenplay, there's a chance that Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always can sneak in there for a screenplay nomination, giving Eliza Hittman that possible nomination. So that's all of the possibilities that could happen of the surprises that we may see in a month.
Do you think Sonic could be a long shot?
I have been campaigning for Jim Carrey to get a Best Supporting Actor for Sonic every single time, and I believe that a Best Sound, but that's I have no idea. I would love it to get a little Best Original Screenplay, but it would be adapted. It would be adapted because it's based on it's based on characters of another medium. Yeah. Oh wow, that's fun. That's something.
I can see the sound though, the sound mixing or something.
Ding.
Yeah, whatever. As we do that, John, are you a big awards guy?
I like to think that I am, but then every year I just watch them and go, what happened? So less and less every year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about Jared Leto, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing. They were talking about him for a minute. I assume you guys weren't blown away by his Little Things performance.
No, yeah, not at all.
Me neither. I did a double take, and I went back to the movie, and I was scanning it through, going, yeah, no, this isn't good, right? This is generic, and this is just him on a Tuesday, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, when I think about it, what I absolutely love about the Leto performance is he is the best part of the movie. That's how bad the movie is. It's really just something
guess,
that yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know where I was going.
I like to call that movie Diet 7 because that's kind of what it feels like in a lot of ways.
It's a good way of putting it. I do want to apologize on behalf of the podcast because 2 weeks ago, I think it was, we had a debate as to whether Jared Leto is a good actor. And the following morning, he was nominated for a Golden Globe. So I think we did something there.
We did this.
Because
we have to
Hollywood Foreign Press, known subscribers to the Guy at the Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. So I don't know. I don't think he's that good of an actor, and that's what frustrates me with this stuff. There's other actors out there.
Not to bring up a whole other topic, but I saw that clip of him on the cop car with the new Joker makeup, and I was like, nah. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay.
I'm with you.
It didn't get me excited,
I'm thankful that it's just going to be a small part because I think he only filmed 1 or 2 scenes or whatever. So I'm thankful for that because I'm not a huge fan of him I'm not a huge fan of him as an actor. So who knows what we're going to get. All right, let's move into some news here. Sean, thank you as always for the awards information. We are getting into the thick of the season. Do we know when the Oscar nominations are coming up yet?
March 15th, I believe, off the top of my head, but it's definitely in the teens. So that'll be around then. So I have a little watch ticking away.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, hey, let's get into some movie news. We want to start with some horror news. Paranormal Activity is coming back. Yeah, right up your alley, right? Paranormal Activity is coming back in a way. This is a really odd way that they're describing the 7th film that's in development. So just to start, Happy Death Days, Christopher Landon, who has been attached to the project for a little bit, and they just brought on Underworld's William Eubank as well. This is not considered a sequel or a remake, but an unexpected retooling. I don't know what's unexpected about it, but because you kind of know what you're doing as filmmakers, hopefully. John, are you a Paranormal Activity fan?
Not really. I've seen a lot of like videos of like the sequels. I do like the marked ones because that's the one where they go to like I think like Mexico and it's so over the top. It's like it's a whole different movie, and that was, I believe, that was directed by Christopher Landon. So they're bringing him back. The girl from Freaky, she was in I think the 4th one. So I like that they're bringing back Christopher Landon because he's very much he fits. I like his sensibility. I enjoyed Freaky, the first Happy Death Day. So okay, I mean, it's a real meh kind of news. You know what I mean? Like not to deflate your first news report, but like,
well, thanks.
No, like I mean, I think it'll come out, and some people will be like, yeah, okay. I don't think it's gonna break new ground. A retooling, you know, in case we didn't need any more like verbiage, because we already got like remake, reboot, but now it's retooling. Like I don't know what to make of that. That just sounds like cash grab to me.
I think it's going to be part of the multiverse now. So
fucking hell.
All right, Sean, you are notoriously new to horror this past year. Have really started diving into it more. Have you seen any of the Paranormal Activity movies?
No, but I admire what they did with the marketing of that first one, where they pretty much said, this needs to be demanded to be seen in your theater. Make sure you sign a petition for this to be seen. It was already booked on all the theaters. And they managed to like still capture the Blair Witch Project energy and of still fool people. That is truly like kind of wonderful marketing. Then 6 movies happened after that. Now, I try to be calm because I also like remakes. I like, sequels. I like new things. Get movies in there. That sounds fun. But just make and I always say this, but just make a new movie because you're going from this isn't a reboot or a remake or a sequel or anything that has to do with anything that goes with the genres or abilities of the movie. This is actually completely different. This is a different movie. This is a completely different movie. Like that's all. Like I don't understand where they're the retool. It's just another word for now. We're getting further and further from an original movie.
Well, to me it kind of parallels the Wrong Turn remake that just came out. I don't know if have you guys seen that yet or no?
I haven't seen it yet, but I've read about it.
Okay, so I got a screener for that one. So basically, they made 6 of those movies, and they're about zombie killers in the woods. They remade it they called it Wrong Turn, The Foundation in Australia. It's nothing like the originals, and a lot of people are pissed off about that. It just kind of feels like they're using the title to get people to come back in. You have the same writer, which is kind of strange. So that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this. Also, I don't understand why Christopher Landon is coming back. Like he went from that Happy Death Day, Freaky. Now he's going back to the well with Paranormal Activity.
I think they're money makers, and they probably want to start like a new, I don't know, wing of the franchise. I don't understand the unexpected retooling. That seems to me like a remake, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I enjoy those movies. Horror movies are the movies that I give a lot of leeway for when they keep releasing them over and over again. And what I mean is releasing sequels over and over again because they're fun. And I think that a lot of horror movies demand to be seen in theaters. And Paranormal Activity is one of those that if you don't see it in theaters, I think you really miss out on something because the sound mixing and the way that they utilize sound is really phenomenal and really gets you.
Well, that kind of reminds me, not to get off topic, but did you hear that John Carpenter was talking about how if they put Halloween Kills out of theaters, but only in streaming, it'll like destroy the movie industry? Like it'll kill the movie theater altogether?
I heard he's rooming with Christopher Nolan now. So
I was going to say he's getting married to Christopher Nolan, but yours is a little bit better.
It drives me crazy. But I get it. Like, you have this work of art, you have something that you pumped, all of your heart into, whether that's music, effects, or whatever it may be. And I agree. You lose something. The next movie that we're going to talk about, or the next story we're going to talk about, references Kong, and that's one that I think is going to suffer on the small screen, even though it's being released in theaters at the same time. But that's a month out, a little more than a month out, and here we are, not doing much better in the States in terms of vaccinations and stuff. So I don't know that theaters are going to be doing much better. But hey, here we are.
Yep.
So
again. This is the 6th reboot of the pandemic.
That it is. Also, just want to call out, Sean, it looks like your camera and everything just suddenly got better.
Really? Oh,
Yes.
That feels great. Thank you.
So, hey, speaking of Godzilla vs. Kong, the director is now on board for the next Face Off movie. So Face Off was the John Travolta and Nicolas Cage 1997 action movie where they trade faces. One is a terrorist, one is an FBI agent. I want to set the stage for you a little bit. It's 1997. I am 11 years old. This movie comes out as I'm sitting at home being babysat or watched or whatever by whoever. I'm eating beefaroni, and they do the whole face swap thing. I was confused as hell. At 11 years old, I had to see that movie multiple times to really understand what was happening. But hey, what? I don't understand. What?
I'm just imagining a tiny little Joe going, "What about the bone structures?"
It makes no sense. And so now we're getting another one, right? And it's going to be, as confirmed by Adam Wingard, the director, a sequel. So whether that means those two are coming back, I don't know. I mean, like, Nicolas Cage is destroying animatronic figures at Willy's Wonderland, and John Travolta did a TikTok commercial thing this last weekend for the Super Bowl. So, and he's bald now. So I don't know. But also, don't we have this technology in our phones? Isn't it like that face sap thing or whatever?
If this ends up being called Face Swap and it's just like a 2-minute movie, and it's like, oh, all right, just take off.
Sean, are you a fan of the first one? Did you see it?
I'm actually very ashamed to say that I haven't seen it. It is one of those movies where it's like, I have not evaded it. I have not protested it. It is a simple, it was not presented to me on a streaming service during this giant pandemic where I've done nothing but watch movies. So I got to see if I can find it in order to, because I know that if I don't watch this one, the second one just won't make any sense.
I was confused at 11 years old.
I mean, I'm still for this though. Like, you got the Godzilla vs. Kong director. There's no, like, that's the kind of director that needs to do this movie for a sequel. Other than that, like, you need someone that's just going to do pure insanity and have like two monsters fight in a candy colored city. Like, where it's just, I mean, this is what Face Off was meant for. This is what it is truly there for. But I will be seeing this 1997 movie Face Off soon. Hopefully.
John, have you seen it? And do you think that the two of them will be back for this so-called sequel?
I've been trying to stay quiet because I don't want to talk over you guys, but I absolutely fucking loved Face Off.
It's a good movie.
I watched it all the time. It's like Predator, Con Air, Face Off, man. It doesn't make any sense. It's over the top. It's very much like the John Woo kind of movie, The Doves, the kind of like that kind of like action with the shoot. And for the longest time, like, and they're talking about the sequel. Nicolas Cage is 57. Do you know how old John Travolta is?
74.
He's 66.
Oh,
this movie fucked with my head. As a kid, I was like, they're so similar. I bet in real life they're the same age. No, not at all. And look, this is what you do if you've seen this movie. Because, like, don't they have, like, kids or some shit? Like, isn't, like, didn't like, he adopt his kid? Like, he basically just like, oh, you killed my boy, so I kill you, and I take your illegitimate kid. Remember that? I don't know how.
Loosely, I haven't seen it in a while.
I shit you not. The movie opens with Castor Troy killing Sean Archer's boy, trying to kill him. By the time the movie's over, Nicolas Cage is dead, and he just like adopts his kid. So it's like, oh, this will totally fill in the void of my dead kid by taking your kid that you didn't know you had. I shit you not. The 90s were a magical place. So this is what you do. You gotta make it a sequel, and you gotta make it like the next generation. So maybe have like Travolta talking to somebody as a cameo and then fucks off. Nicolas Cage is dead in the movie. I can't imagine them bringing him back. But just don't do
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, no, that would be crazy if they put someone that would be nuts.
That's where you draw the line. Darren in the comments real quick is just saying that yes, that is the ending, and then Luke recommended Rob Pattinson and Tom Hardy for the sequel.
I did think Tom Hardy. I think Tom Hardy and somebody who also has like that crazy sensibility.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. No, he's too straight. He's too like he's too wooden. You need someone a little more like Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. Definitely Tom Hardy.
Have a Warrior reunion. Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton. Let's go. Like, let's do this thing.
Or even Christian. I don't think Christian Bale would do it, but he would be a good fit.
Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker. Sounds great.
I mean,
thinking about crazy people.
They probably shouldn't do it, but they're gonna. So
Yeah.
it's not gonna be nearly as good. I mean, for one, you have you talk about Anima Wingard, and he is doing the Godzilla movie. He did do You're Next and The Guest, which I love both of those. But then he also did like the Netflix version of Death Note. I'm sorry, and he did the Blair Witch remake. So it's like, I don't know. It just seems like it's going to be a generic shit pile. So
I've written down a few more castings. Castings I've written down are based on his version of J. Edgar Hoover, Martin Sheen, and a paper mache cowboy. He already has his face off in that movie. he just took it. There's just no one else needs to be cast.
You know who else needs work? Gina Carano.
Oh.
So so let's roll into that real quick because we have
her and Louis C.K. They have to switch faces and.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Gina Carano. Sean and I touched on this a little bit last week, but we are going to dive into it a little bit more because there is some new news regarding her. So, of course, Carano played Cara Dune on the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. It looked like they were setting her up for a spinoff, which would likely be the lead of Rangers of the High Republic, I think it is. She has been controversial on social media as a very conservative individual. And she is that's not the controversial piece. The controversial piece is the things that she's saying. So she started off with a while ago some comments around transgender individuals and really offended the transgender community. Some others that have been out there have been less than smart of a person with her presence in media right now during such a divided political time when you work for the mouse. So the most recent one was that she compared the U.S. and the current political climate and being a conservative to being Jewish in Nazi Germany. Period. I can't even get into that. But anyway, she's also said Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. It's effing wild if you expect everyone you encounter to agree with every belief or view you hold. I think that's fine. Kind of agree with that. But she just went on her way there. Disney cut ties with her through Lucasfilms. Lucasfilms said that there is no plan to bring her back in the future for any Star Wars project, and that her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. So let's fast forward a little bit to what we have going on now. She is kind of riding the cancel culture train where individuals who, stick their head up their ass are suddenly saying that they're being canceled for no reason. That's my personal view that I will cut out. No, I'm not. I'm leaving it in. But anyway, she is now going to be working with the conservative website, The Daily Wire, and starring or developing and producing her own film. She said, quote unquote, "I cried out and my prayer was answered. I am sending out a direct message of hope to everyone living in fear of cancellation by the totalitarian mob." Blah, 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 blah. She's making a movie with The Daily Wire, and I forget the guy's name from there.
Ben Shapiro?
Yeah, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
So, John, welcome to the pod. I'm going to throw you under the bus here real quick with this one. What are your thoughts on all this?
It's okay because I'm ready because I read your outline and I actually went and researched it because when I first heard it I was like kind of like anybody else, you're kind of just like you hear about this so often with different celebrities that you're like, what the fuck ever, man, you know? So you know what I mean? Because like it happens so much, but because we brought it up, I decided to go and actually read some of the things that she was saying to decide for myself. And you're right, she talks about Nazis, and what she basically said was like, you know, back in World War II, the Nazis weren't that bad. It was the neighbors of people that were Jewish who were rounding them up and telling the Nazis where they were. And you know what? That makes them worse than a Nazi. And you know, that's just like today, where like we don't like each other for having different political views. What? How can you say that's the same? So like when you work for Disney. When you work for like Jon Favreau, who I'm pretty sure from what I heard from like around the campfire, Jon Favreau is Jewish. I'm sure he didn't appreciate the symmetry that you're putting on Twitter, and you just don't do that. You don't if you're gonna work for somebody like Disney, Star Wars, all of that. And I've heard about this. They make you sound like a contract. You know, I think Robert Downey Jr. was talking about this a while ago. When you join the MCU and Disney and all that, part of your contract is that you have to be a certain reputable kind of celebrity because you represent them. And I don't have any respect for this lady. I have no interest in seeing her upcoming movie.
John,
or anything else.
To be fair to jump in, that's expected of you if you work at Jimmy John's. Like it's the
no,
same.
yeah, I know, but it's worse because like they spell it out for you,
right?
So it's like, and you're given such a grand opportunity where it's like, you know, you lose Jimmy John's, whatever, but like you made it. You made it to the top of the mountain, and like you're an idiot.
It's the whole burner thing, right? Like a child that continues to like touch the burner after you tell them it's hot. Like you just keep whatever. She's doing the same thing. She was warned multiple times. She signed the whatever, and here we are. Sean, I know you have some thoughts on this. I see you like gearing up over there. Hit us.
Well, actually, John, you helped me out with a big one there by mentioning Robert Downey Jr. That guy was a pretty canceled celebrity and literally uninsurable, and Disney has him. So if they think it's just like cancel culture or whatever is going on there, like, you know, the lead of Marvel until, you know, now, like is Robert Downey Jr. And I just imagine this where, you know, boy, I have a lot of thoughts that I could keep on going about, but
if I may real quick, Robert Downey Jr. like basically just hurt himself, and it was in 2008. He's basically the godfather of the MCU and thus godfathered in, and they basically made that rule more or less because of him, I think, and then moving forward, it was just like understood. Do you know what I mean? So like you gotta get a little bit of wiggle. He was just like abusing himself. He wasn't like offending people on a large level. So I give it a little bit more wiggle with him. You know what I mean?
I don't want to compare the two, but he is just someone in this regard that they like, you know, he was given a chance. And I mean, so was Gina, and she decided to piss that chance away. This happened. This argument happens a million times, but it also happened with Roseanne. When she literally called a black person a monkey. And, you know, she didn't go to jail for that. She didn't get hauled away by Nazis for doing that. What happened? Oh, she lost her job as the top-rated sitcom at that time. That's what your punishment is that you can no longer be a celebrity that makes a lot of money, not because of your views, but because you have hateful views. I have many conservative friends that, you know what, voted for Trump. Many family that are conservative voted for Trump. We have arguments. Then we're able to chill afterwards. And they are also not hateful. It's tough where we have that line. Like it gets a little bit tricky with them. But they are not. And so what she did was worse than any sort of conservative situation. She, first of all, yeah, I won't go for it. Just I could go for an hour, and it's just, you're a public figure. You deserve to get fired if you say something out of line, because that's for the public.
Well, and also you don't want to tarnish the company you're working for. I think that's such a simple thing that we're all taught, and we all understand going to work. Like you represent the company you work for, and ironically, I guess, or Roseanne was working for Disney at the same time, right? Like that's Disney as well. Ultimately, ABC
That's
up
true,
to Disney. Yeah. So it frustrates me because I do see it as accountability. I think it's easy to try to conflate it with like larger things that are going on, like, I don't know, inciting a riot, but it frustrates the shit out of me. Well, listen, this is a lighter topic. One person she probably would be okay working for was Joss Whedon.
Boy, these two, this is like a 1-2 punch. I've been shaking all this whole time. Well, like, oh god.
I said to John earlier when you stepped away, Sean, I was like, welcome to the podcast. Not much big news this week, but we're going to talk about some heavy subjects. So get ready. So, hey, here's what's going on with Joss Whedon. We've talked ad nauseum about the Ray Fisher situation with Justice League back in 2016, 2017. What we've had happen since is that Joss Whedon exited The Nevers, which was HBO's upcoming sci-fi television series. I believe we just got a trailer for that. I didn't watch it, but I believe we got a trailer for that. So there's a new showrunner. Of course, he is, the man behind such projects as recent projects as the Avengers. A little bit later, or a little bit back more, we are talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. Firefly too, right? Is that
Firefly? Yeah,
Firefly. That's the one I always forget. And what we recently have is, in addition to Ray Fisher making accusations, Charisma Carpenter of Buffy the Vampire Slayer has accused Joss Whedon of toxic and verbally abusive behavior on the set of Buffy. She has a very long post on Twitter, but she goes on within that to accuse him of basically punishing her for being pregnant, and her role on the show did come to somewhat of an abrupt end after she was pregnant, and she goes on to detail some of the conversation that she had with him at the time. Just trying to pull out a few quotes from the one article I'm reading right now, is that some of the supporters, Sarah Michelle Gellar also came out to support, of course, Sarah Michelle Gellar of Buffy fame. Michelle Trachtenberg also came out. She's the one who played Buffy's younger sister later on in the show, but she said that she actually had there was a rule that she couldn't be alone with Joss Whedon or something.
I heard that too.
So there's just so much going on, and I'm a very big believer of, the old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. In law school, of all places, you learn the whole, like, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Which, hey, that's what I think is happening here. Sean, we're gonna go right back to you on this one. Joss Whedon, toot or boot?
Real psyched. So I really I'm not surprised. No one is surprised. There's no one that's surprised, really. I mean, you hear about this abuse. Boy, it's just such a shame, because he has such a great mind for sci-fi, and that's the last time I'll praise him during this segment, because I won't after this. Because if you're this abusive to your actors or something like that, you don't know how to get a job done better, and it's now just become way too many people. And there are, the one thing I know here is that there's no shortage of this. We're going to hear things, not from Whedon, from other directors, because, Hollywood was a little bit too behind in this sort of department when it came to, power hungry people. And so we're going to hear about a lot of different directors, and, some of them might break our hearts. Some of them, we won't be surprised by, but it's going to be there. I mean, I look at, Mel Gibson and David O. Russell are still making movies. Now, Mel Gibson is more racist than abusive, but he also has been very angry, and, I think has anger issues, and I think I wouldn't be surprised about that. But, we're cool with giving him a chance. David O. Russell, there are videos where, he is fighting with Lily Tomlin. And hey, who started it? Who cares? Maybe don't do that. But also, George Clooney has said some stories where he was nuts on the set of Three Kings. And, this is a guy that, abuses his actors. And I don't know if it's to get something out of them. I mean, it gets tricky. I'm about to go after Kubrick right now. I'll watch his movies all the time. His movies are wonderful. They truly are. But he put his actors through hell. Shelley Duvall is kind of like, permanently messed up from that movie, The Shining. And I had to say what it was really, but from The Shining. And it's just one of those things where this kind of atmosphere, thankfully, is slowly going further down. There are representatives available on sets now. One of the things I think about is intimacy coordinators and how those weren't a thing until a couple of years ago, where they're supervising, lovemaking scenes, whether, like making out or having sex. And I believe they were only from a couple of years ago. I don't know that for sure, but it is sort of one of those things where, I think the culture is changing. The culture has changed, but it's scary when you're going to hear this. And we're going to hear a lot of this stuff.
Imagine that's your job. Like you're like a lovemaking coordinator.
What
do you do for a living? Well, I show up on set and lift the leg, but not too much. And like that's got to be like the shittiest job. I guess they pay you, but like,
I really do think it's it's not even just like like planning out where the leg goes or anything. I think it's a lot of like, are you okay? Are you?
No,
okay?
I know.
There's a social worker angle to it. Oh, it's still got to be a tough job, but like there's a social worker angle to it. Like it's not exactly about the choreography, if you will.
John, does this all surprise you? I mean, I can't believe that we're still learning a lot of this stuff, but I also, as Sean was just saying, I guess.
And I want to point out, like, I'm not hating on that job existing. I think it probably does benefit in a lot of ways. I just wouldn't want to have it personally. It just sounds like a really awkward job to go to every day. So Joss Whedon, man, he's another one. I read about it because, you hear about this and your first notion is like, well, you don't really know, and then you read about it and you're like, fuck that guy. Sorry, I don't want to curse too much on your podcast, but like you read about it. And like you said, when I hear about it initially, it's always the same with these celebrities. The first time around, I'm like, well, we don't know. And then like 5 more stories come out and I'm like, all right, well, I guess we're done with Joss Whedon today. I don't, again, kind of like the first one with Cara Dune, or what's her name?
Gina Carano.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't understand. Like, someone has given you an opportunity. You're thriving. You made the Avengers. You made Buffy, and I think a lot of it, like, I'm not excusing anything he did. I think he's a piece of shit. But, like, you hear about this, because I want to make that clear for what I'm going to say next. You've done all this shit, like the shit with the girl from Buffy, where the quote I read was like, hey, so are you gonna keep it? That was a quote I read, which, like, dude. So my what's frustrating is that, like, you did all that shit and nobody said anything, right? Mm-hmm. And they should have. But it's insult to injury to me when, like, you did the Avengers, you are where you are. And then you go after Ray Fisher after all that. And it's like, dude, when do you stop? And I think these people like have like an illness. Like they just can't, I don't understand if it's like their ego or what. I don't know, man. And it's
He's
just
an equal opportunity shithead, apparently.
I guess, but like, and they never stop. Like they don't learn. You like to think when people get older, it's like, well, I was in my 20s. I was dumb. I was insecure maybe. I had an ego. But like, they just consistently keep going. And it's like, fuck that guy.
Do you know
there's no wiggle for like, oh, I was stupid, I'm sorry. Like, it's consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what scene I always go back to from a movie? And Sean, we watched. So John, for you to know, we watched all the Scream movies in October. I think about Scream 3, and one of the scenes where I think it's Sydney's mom that's in the office of the producer, and it's essentially what we're talking about in a lot of ways. It's that lewd behavior. It drives me nuts.
And what's kind of funny about Scream 3 is that, like, I remember watching that as a kid. I was probably like 12 or so. I forget what year they came out. But like growing up, like as a kid, I was like, well, that's just what Hollywood is. So like, I don't know how some actors or actresses could go to Hollywood because, like, I guess they have to make the deal with the devil of like, well, if I want to get this role, I have to sleep with the producer. There's a casting couch. And so like when all the news broke with like Harvey Weinstein and all that, it didn't shock me. It disgusted me, but it didn't, I want to say shock me. Because, like, I've heard about old Hollywood being that way. It's unfortunate. I'm glad they're changing it, but it's not shocking. It's just fucking absurd and gross. You know what I mean?
Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Bryan Singer. I mean, they all have some disgusting behaviors that I think they're now paying for. But with the latter one that I just mentioned, Bryan Singer of X-Men movie fame, his career is essentially done. He's not doing anything. Is Whedon's career done?
I'd say yes.
Sean?
Yeah. yeah, probably. I mean, I had to think about it for a second because I listed those directors that keep getting the chances, and it's just one of those things where Bryan Singer, his career is done, even though he was nominated for an Oscar in 2018. I mean, granted, it was the movie that was nominated, and he was like one of the producers that they wanted to get rid of and try to kick him off anyway. But it's one of these things where I worry that someone will give him a chance. He'll probably be doing a movie starring Gina Carano with Ben Shapiro in it. But I think he might be done. I think that there is a level of like you said, he basically got busted on Justice League, and then the studio still stayed silent. But people are talking about this more. People are reporting this more now. And hopefully it doesn't cost careers like it used to. But I mean, you just got to hope that, someone like this, and there could be a new energy of great directors that know how to run a set without abusing their actors and know how to draw performances. Go.
Just to clarify, doesn't result in people losing their careers who report.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Oh, wow. Yikes. Oof, I am very thankful that you made that clarification. Yes.
I knew
that unfortunately used to happen where someone would report something and, they would not lose their careers by being fired, but they slowly float away and then just not be hired by anyone ever. And I think that culture is done. I hope that culture is done, but there's unfortunately no way of knowing, but I'll be optimistic too and say, yes, his career is over.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, for him to come back seems like a 1 in a million shot. Like for that to happen, and I don't want that to happen. Like the only way that someone like Joss Whedon comes back is like if in like 7 years we hit like the bubble, like bursting of like canceling everything, and then maybe we canceled the wrong people, what have you. Maybe it goes too far, and for whatever reason, like they decide to like bring all these fucking people back. I don't see that happening, but it would be like a 1,000,000 to 1 shot. I really don't see Joss Whedon ever coming back to the stage. I just don't.
Well, we do have some breaking news here that I want to share. It was just announced that for Ben Shapiro's company, Joss Whedon is going to direct Gina Carano, who will be donning blackface as Bill Cosby in a buddy road trip comedy where he and what's his name? Let me see here. Harvey Weinstein are journeying across the country to start their own streaming service. So that should be really fascinating.
Is it weird that I'd watch that? Like it's kind of like At first it sounded like that's ridiculous, Joe. And then as you kept on going, I was like, oh, you know what? There could be something there. I mean,
Oh, wait, just got a letter from Gina Carano. You're saying that's not real. You're canceling me. Okay, well, we need to move on. We'll have our lawyers come.
So just to be clear, Ben Shapiro has never like done anything in Hollywood, right? Like I know he had like a conservative TV show or something like that.
Yep.
I'm like, I think I know who Ben Shapiro is, but not really. No.
If you follow politics on Twitter, he is a twat.
Yeah, right. I thought maybe he dabbled in like movies, but I'm like, no, it doesn't look that way. Okay, well, that should be interesting.
Just a twat.
Just a twat.
All right, so let's end on a high note here. I asked you guys not to read into this one because I'm very entertained by this.
Just go read the terrible ones.
Yeah. So essentially what happened was Mr. Deadpool himself, Ryan Reynolds, who I also want to go back to a comment real quick. I'm jumping all around here. But a comment said Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal for the Face Off remake. I say Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds and make it a comedy because that would be hilarious. Yes, I solved it. Anyway, so apparently in 2016, a letter was written to quote unquote Mr. Deadpool, and it says, "Dear Mr. Deadpool, I'd like to begin with complimenting your fantastic laugh my ass off movie, and I'd like to say keep up the great work." Goes on to say, "I'm hoping that Fox and Marvel will possibly make a second movie for you, and not a crappy second movie like most sequels are. Ask Hal to be more badass like him." It's really a great letter. P.S. I'd even take an autograph from Ryan Reynolds too. So Ryan Reynolds took to Twitter and shared his response and said, "Oh, I can't believe this letter was never sent. But you be the judge after I read this to you." "Hey, Hunter, thanks for all the kind words in your letter. I'm feeling really good about how Deadpool has been received so far. And yes, I'm glad we got to make it our way. Can you imagine if Deadpool was with the MCU at Disney? As for sequels, there'll be plenty. Expect them every 2 years like clockwork. It's such a privilege to be able to don a mask. Honestly, I'm not sure I'm badass or English paper worthy, but I'll give you the best advice I ever got. Commit to one thing. For me, it's acting. No messing around with random business ventures like other celebs. I have a tiny investment in an upcoming musical festival that should be quote-unquote fire and an amazing blood company called Thanos. But other than that, acting and I are like Tom Brady and New England, together forever. I'd love to get together for a beer with you. I'd love to get together for a beer with you. Beer is my favorite and the only alcohol for me, but it looks like I'll be busy for the foreseeable future. Blake is pregnant with our second and last child, but when Deadpool 3 comes out in 2020, I should be able to spend more time with fans up close and personal. Handshakes and hugs are always way better than letters or even dabbing. LOL. Until then, let's stay connected on Vine. Stay on fleek. Best, Ryan Reynolds."
Oh, shit.
So clearly he's playing around, but I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Ryan Reynolds' humor is just
great.
Oh my god.
Well, I think it's great because the Ryan Reynolds humor. He's just this like unsuspectingly good looking, and then you just have like that face where it's almost like a Will Ferrell face, where a joke is coming when you see him. He's just kind of like he's ready to go with a little sly smirk and the knowing grin. Like you feel that through that letter.
Yeah.
And for him to take the time to do that, I think is really cool. I mean, he seems to be really good with fans and stuff. I don't know. Are you a big Ryan Reynolds fan, John?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's a cool guy. All right. So let's wrap it up for this week. Do you want to start or end by just telling you about the new releases that we're getting this week? So first and foremost, on Friday, Disney Plus, Flora and Ulysses. Friday on Netflix, I Care a Lot. Friday in theaters and Hulu, Nomadland. Friday in theaters and VOD, Silk Road. So some good releases I'm excited for. John, thank you so much for being here. Please tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me at Burns Reviews at all the social media outlets, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm on Letterboxd, and of course YouTube, Burns Reviews, where I got end to explain videos, early movie reviews, Blu-ray trips, a lot of fun stuff, and yeah, it's all movies.
Great content all around. We actually just started like communicating like 2 months ago or something.
Yeah.
But have been able to help each other out and learn a lot from one another, or from you, from me especially. Me from you, I can speak, which is great. So, Sean, where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Math Teacher Movies, where I do Monologue Mondays, What the Oscars Got Wrong Wednesdays, and Final Shot Fridays. I also review TV and movies from old and new.
That was the best encapsulated. Yeah, that was 100% good. And you can find me at GuideToMovies.com for all your movie news and reviews. Guide to Movies on Instagram, Guide to Movies 1 on Twitter, Letterboxd, all the fun stuff all around. Do want to remind everyone that the Guide to Movies Virtual Film Festival, the second annual, is coming up March 25th through the 28th. Follow Guy's Film Festival on Instagram for all of the updates. I have some fun, exciting news and announcements that are still to be made coming up. Tomorrow night is Trivia Night with the Chumps. That's tomorrow night if you're listening live, Wednesday. And if you are listening anywhere that you can get your podcasts, from Spotify to Apple to Google, on Wednesday morning, join us tonight on YouTube or Twitch for Trivia Night with the Chumps. Comedy edition, Wednesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central or whatever, because they're in Chicago and I always get confused. Anyway, like I said, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. And please, please, please make sure to subscribe, rate, comment, send love mail, hate mail, whatever it is. We just like to talk. And Sean, what do we want to leave the people with?
Guys, please, I want to go back to the theaters. Let's end the pandemic. Wear your mask. Wear your damn mask. Wear 2. Don't wear 3. I heard that gets weird. Wear 2 masks, please. Also, social distance, far away from each other. When it's your turn, get the vaccine. Oh, but I don't know if... Shut up and get the vaccine. Please get the vaccine. All right, when it is your turn. Wear your masks. Stop going to bars and coughing in circles. Like, just please, 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 please. All right, there we go. Let's go to the theater soon.
Talking to you, Gina.
Yeah. She's afraid of the microchip as she's like tweeting on her phone with all the chips in it. Anyway, good luck to Gina Carano in the future, I guess. Anyway, thank you, John, again for being here. Middle finger up. Love that. Sean, we'll talk soon. And guys, we'll see you next week.